him.
I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Schmack-a-magab, it is time for the only news that matters. And not everyone in the world of music gets along, and that includes some of its biggest stars. Even in heavy metal, a genre known for its intensity and larger-than-life personalities, there are musicians who just don't click. One example, Kerry, guitarist and founding member of Slayer, who once called out a well-known name in the scene. In an interview with Bisma magazine way back in June of 2000, King didn't hold back when asked to name the first unpleasant person he met in the music business. He said, Blackie Lawless. He's a jerk, a son of a bitch. We were on the Rain and Blood tour opening for Wasp, and the rest of the band wanted to hang out with us, but Blackie wouldn't let them. He was definitely a jerk. The Slayer album you mentioned, Rain and Blood, came out in 1986 and became one of the band's most iconic records. Probably the most iconic record. Decades later, the two musicians ended up on the same bill again. This time, it was at the Bangers Open Air held for May 2nd to 4th in 2000, because it says this year, at the Memorial de America Latina in Brazil. But as far as I know, nothing happened at that festival. This is where the story ends, and I have heard many stories of Blackie Lawless from different bands. I think Metallica was one of them, and who else? Lemmy. I know Lemmy had a problem with Blackie. So yeah, this is kind of like nothing new. Blackie Lawless really rubbed bands the wrong way. I think even Anthrax had a problem with them, with Wasp. I may be wrong on that one. But anyway, yeah, I love Wasp. Back in the 80s, they were so badass, but I always been a bigger Slayer fan. I can't get enough of Slayer. Those early albums, especially the Metal Blade years. God, I play those albums constantly. I played Live Undead like not even a week ago. You know, when I go for Slayer albums, it's usually the Metal Blade stuff. Hell Awaits, Show No Mercy, my personal favorite, the Haunting the Chapel EP. It's just groundbreaking stuff, man. And I love the guitar playing. You know, a lot of people dismiss Kerry King, Jeff Hanneman as just like making noises and stuff. I loved it. I actually loved it. And I was lucky that when I formed the thrash band, my guitar player worshipped Kerry King and did a lot of those, you know, crazy noises. What do they call it? Dive bombs? I don't know. Whatever they're called. I love, it's so metal, man. It's not technical. It's not Yngwie Malmsteen, you know. It's not Josh Christian from Toxic, but still, you know, it fits the music. The music's angry, pissed off. And so are those solos. Jeff and Kerry, they unleashed really pissed off guitar solos. And I'll take that over a lot of like more technically proficient guitar players. Now don't get me wrong and don't get it twisted. We'll cut the deck right here. I love shredders. Don't get it wrong, man. But when it comes to Slayer music, I don't think a shredder would work. Not, you know, because they do shred. I'm not saying they don't shred, but I'm just saying that that precision, that perfectness of a guitar solo, like, you know, stuff like, yeah, like Josh Christian, you know, those guitar players that are so tasteful, but I don't think it would mix well in Slayer music. It just won't, you know? And that's what made Slayer so unique. Not only like, you know, the music, the guitar playing, the songwriting, the lyrics, you know, the screams. And of course, the greatest thrash drummer in the world and my second favorite drummer of all time, Dave Lombardo. is just made that band like stand apart. See, I lived in the 80s, man. I lived it. And I know what was going on at that time with what people call the Big Four now. Let me tell you, around 86, was it 86, where Anthrax released Among the Living, Megadeth released Peace Sells, and Slayer released Rain and Blood, and Metallica Master of Puppets. And at that time, I'll say the most popular was Metallica, and remained the most popular after all these years. In second place, Anthrax. Anthrax was right up there with Metallica. I mean, Metallica was still bigger, but they were gaining speed, getting close to them. Then I would say Slayer. And then I would say Megadeth. Megadeth and Slayer were kind of tied. Now, I think Slayer had a little bit more momentum than Megadeth at the time. And then that changed. Anthrax was knocked all the way down to number 4 because by the time the early 90s came, it was Metallica, Megadeth at number 2, Slayer, and then Anthrax. And then, you know, fast forward a few years later, it was Metallica, Slayer, and Megadeth and Anthrax. And to this day, that's the way it is. You know, that's the Big Four in order as far as popularity goes. And Slayer, to me, man, they're right up there with Metallica. Their first, those Metal Blade albums, I'd put up against those Metallica albums. I don't know if they'd win, but they'd put a hell of a fight. Because they're just monumental. And so is Rain and Blood. I mean, to me, Rain and Blood is like their best album, though it's not my favorite. You know, it's weird. Like the Beatles. The Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's their best album, but it's not my favorite. But I'm a huge, huge Slayer fan. I did keep up with them. I don't think the later albums capture the magic that the 80s albums did. You know, after Season of the Abyss, you know, I gotta listen to Divine Intervention again, because I was thinking of that album the other day, because Ditto Head came on my iPod, and I'm thinking, man, because I only put a few songs from that on my iPod. I should listen to that album again in its entirety. But the later stuff, World Painted Blood would be my favorite of the later stuff. I did like that one a lot, but it's nothing compared to everything from Seasons down, you know? But that's how I feel. I am a huge Slayer fan. I have yelled the name Slayer on several occasions. I'm a big fan. And I love them. And I love 80s Wasp. I love Slayer more, but I love that 80s Wasp stuff. I love 80s Wasp more now than I did in the 80s. I always loved the first album. Always. The second and third one, I was like, but I appreciate them more now. I still don't think they're both as good as the first album and Headless Children. Those are my favorites. But that's it, man. Blackie Lawless was a jerk to Kerry King, and I did a news report because it was from 25 years ago, and 25 years ago, bringing this news back matters. And thank you for watching The Only News That Matters. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think of Slayer? What do you think of Wasp? Who do you like more? And, and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and ring that little notification bell. And like the video. It's good for the YouTube algorithms. So stay frosty. Listen to Hell Awaits and Schmack 'em a gob.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so never more shall we see you again.